Hello lovelies, welcome back to my YouTube channel and another interesting online tutorial where we'll be learning how to make this beautiful design. Now if you're new to this channel, thank you so much for clicking in. Please do well to subscribe before leaving this channel. Moving on to the materials needed, we have raw silk fabric, of which 1 yard is more than enough, and in place you can make use of any other fabric of your choice. Measuring tape, scissors, matching color of thread and needle. For this tutorial we are working on a gathered and pleated turban cap which has braided ruffles design on it. Now I'm making use of raw silk fabric, and 1 yard of raw silk fabric will be more than enough for this design. Your gathered or pleated turban cap has the band, a round band. It has the base which has the gathers and the pleats, and it's not lined. And then we'll also have 3 pieces of fabric for the ruffles design, and then we are also going to have 3 pieces of fabric for the inner parts of the fabric that will be giving us the braid and the ruffles. So in total 6 pieces of fabric will be giving us the design, 3 pieces of fabric for the inner part and 3 pieces of fabric for the outer part. So this is what makes up this design. So I'll just go ahead to state out the fabrics and their measurements. Now starting with the band. The measurement for my band is 4.5 inches for the width, and for the length I'm making use of 22 inches, 4.5 by 22 inches. For the base, I'm going to be using 24 inches for the head circumference, which is on the stretchy part of the fabric, by 18 inches for the width, 24 by 18 inches. Now coming to the inner part of the fabric, okay, for the design, for the braids to ruffles design, we'll be needing 3 pieces of fabric. The measurement is 2 inches for the width and 30 inches for the length, 2 by 30 inches, cut out 3 times for 3 different pieces of fabric. This is for the inner part of the cap, and this fabric is raw silk and so stretchy. Now coming to the outer part of the design, we'll be needing another set of 3 pieces of fabric. This time around the measurement is 90 inches for the length and the width is 4.5 inches. So 90 by 4.5 inches, cut out 3 times. Now the thing is that at some point you will have to join your fabric so as to make up this full length. Okay, so that's what makes up this. Now the fabric for the design, what you do is that you get your fabric, fold it into 2 equal halves. Okay, you get your fabric, fold it into 2, and then sew it down from one end to the other end. Now while folding and sewing, the fine side should be inside while the wrong side should be outside, and then you sew. After sewing, you go ahead to turn your fabric inside out, and that is what I did for this my piece of fabric here. Remember, it's a very long piece of fabric, so you sew and then turn it inside out. Now as soon as that is done, I will get 1 piece of fabric to illustrate. So I have my inner fabric here and I have the outer fabric for the braids here. I will get my safety pin and I'm going to be passing this inside, that is my safety pin inside the inner fabric this way, and I'm going to start passing it inside my ruffles fabric. Okay, so this is it. I still haven't come out from the other end. My pin is still inside the fabric, but I want to secure this end, so I'll just pull out my fabric and then get my pin to pin down this end. So this will hold this part in place. Then I can now go back to now start pulling my fabric all the way to the other end. At this point my fabric is out, and I'll go ahead to adjust this. So you see the way I'm pulling it in to adjust it. and then I will secure this at this edge with my pin, and then repeat the same thing for the other piece of fabric that I have. Right here I have my Ruffles fabric, and I've gone ahead to pass in my inner fabric through the entire 3 pieces of fabric I have. Then I went further to stitch it down at each edge. I've sewn it down here, I've sewn it down here, I've sewn it down here. I did the same for both sides for all 3 pieces of fabric, after which I got each piece of fabric, placed one on each other, and stitched it down so as to join all 3 pieces of fabric together as one. So I'll just go ahead to adjust this and ensure that the ruffles are okay, they are in place. As soon as that is done, I will go ahead to braid my fabric to give me the design. So the normal way we make our braided design, you braid your hair fabric, is the same way we are going to be braiding, just that this particular fabric already has the ruffles. So you can get someone to help you hold this end so that you can get something tight, or you get a heavy object to place at the edge. So I'm done braiding, and on getting to the end, this is the edge, I will pull it out and then arrange it again the same way I did earlier, one on each other. Take it down to my sewing machine and I will stitch this down just the same way I did for this part. So this is my braided ruffles design. You can see how puffy it looks like. So I'll set this aside while we work on the turban cap where we'll be adding this to. Now coming to our turban cap, if you look closely on my fabrics, you will see that I've gone ahead to mark out my fabric. This is because we are working on a gathered and pleated turban cap. So first of all, you have to decide what the measurements for your pleats or the intervals for each pleat is going to be. And for me, I'm working with 1.5 inches. So what you do is you get your measuring tape, you measure out 1.5 inches and you mark. You extend your hands again, measure 1.5 inches and then mark. After which you get your ruler to start extending the lines from one end to the other until you get to the end of your fabric. Or, like I always explain, get a ruler that has the same width as that of the measurement you are using. Like this is 1.5 inches. So just simply put it down on your fabric, get your chalk, and then start rolling it out from one end of the fabric to the other. This is much more easier and faster. So you roll it that way until you get to the end of your fabric. As soon as that is done, the next thing we are going to be doing is sewing. So what you do is that you get each marked line, fold it down and stitch from one end to the other end, and then move to the next one, sew it down from one end to the other end, move to the next one, fold into two and sew it down in that order. Now you see, when you have your fabric, you are marking on the wrong side and you are sewing on the wrong side. So let's assume we are done with sewing. This is going to be the wrong side of our fabric, and then on flipping over to this side, you will have your fine side. So go ahead to fold your fabric after sewing. I'm only trying to explain this so that I can finish with my sewing at once. After sewing your fabric, go ahead to fold your fabric into two and then make a notch at the middle. Then get the fabric for your band and then fold into two this way so as to get the middle. Then fold again into another two, and this at this open edge, go ahead to make a notch. Now fold your band into two with the wrong side inside and the fine side outside. You will have it this way. Get the fabric for your base. This is after sewing your pleats, and on the fine side where you did not mark and where you did not sew, place your band on it. Ensure that the midpoint of the band aligns with the base, and then go ahead to stitch it down from one end to the other so as to join the band to the base. Now, before you sew your pleats, you can even join the band to the base before you sew your pleats. And after joining it on the fine side, you turn over your fabric to the wrong side and then start sewing your pleats. So I'll do this and get back. Now, this is my fabric. This is the fine side and this is the wrong side. So this is the part of the fabric that was marked, and at this fine side I have my band joined to my base. Now, the next one we're going to be doing is that we'll get our braided design, already braided design, and then I'll place it on my fabric this way. I will get this end down like this and pin it, and then arrange this other edge at this end and pin it. I'll fold my fabric into two, and then I will stitch down the band and stitch it down to this end and extend it to this very end. So I'm stitching the edge of my braid fabric plus my turban cap together, and I'll stitch it to this end and then to this very end. When I'm done, I'll get back for us to continue. At this point, I'm done making my sewing stitch. Okay, I've stitched it from the band down to the very end of my turban cap. So this is the band all the way down to this very end. Now, if this braided part is very bulky, you may have to use your needle and thread to tack it down first. So as soon as that is done, we'll be making our gathers. Now remember, it's a gathered or pleated turban cap, so the first gathers is going to come from the point after the band to this end, while the second gathers is going to be at the middle of the cap. So let's do this first, and I have my needle and thread here, so I'll just go ahead to pass it in and out. So I'm done with this. The next thing I want to do is to bring out these braids, then try to get the middle of my cap so that we can make the gathers at the middle of the turban cap too. Okay, now please observe that I have the wrong side of my cap this way, and then I've gotten the middle of my cap. So what we're going to be doing is that we'll be passing our needle and thread through this sewn part, okay, through this part that we have sewn. That's what we'll be passing our needle and thread through. Now, starting from this point where I have the middle, I'll pass it. Now again through this pleated part that we have sewn, through the pleated part that we have sewn at the middle, in that order until I get to the end. Now, on getting to the end, please ensure to tack back a couple of times, then secure your thread before cutting off the excess thread. So as soon as this is done, this is the wrong side, I will open this up. So you see that I have my gathered or pleated turban cap here. Then I will go ahead to adjust my braid and place it very well on my turban cap. So you can see that I have my gathered or pleated turban cap with my braids on it. So this is it, and then I will place this on my turban cap to show us the final outlook. Now if you don't want this to keep falling off, please, you can use your needle and thread to tack it down or even glue it down to your cap. Just depends on your preference.